Meeting of Norwood City Council to order. If everyone can please rise for a moment of reflection and a pledge of allegiance. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Franzen? Here. Mrs. Hoover?
Here.
Ms. Royce?
Here.
Mrs. Bowling?
Here.
Mr. Girton? Mr. Moore?
Here.
Mr. Girton?
Thank you. We have 6 members present this evening. Moving on to the first item on the agenda, that is an ordinance authorizing an offer of employment for the position of deputy auditor and declaring an emergency. Mrs. Bowling.
Mr. President, if I would like to make a motion to amend the agenda for this evening, is this the appropriate time to do so?
We can.
I would like to make a motion to amend the agenda to remove items G 1, 2, and 3.
Mr. Moore.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Moore. Any discussion? Ms. Bowling.
Yeah, just to offer some clarity as to why I'm making this motion. When we were initially asked about having a special meeting this evening, it was specifically for the issue of the deputy auditor role. There was no mention made of including the PLK ordinances on here. At our last council meeting, we requested a 2-week extension. I would like for us to take that full 2-week extension. I don't think that any of us were prepared to attend this meeting to discuss PLK, to discuss this development. I think that we asked for the 2 weeks, so let's have the 2 weeks. Let's keep this meeting for its original intention. I'm not prepared to have any action made for issues G 1, 2, and 3.
Any further discussion? Mrs. Franzen.
What are the implications if we would take these items off? I know that there were issues potentially with not having enough people to do all readings next week. I just figured I'd ask for some clarity about what the implications are.
Mr. Moore, the legal ramifications to not having these tonight versus next Tuesday?
We end up back where we were Tuesday evening at, what was it, like 11 o'clock at the end of the last council meeting. That's where we are. The next meeting is 2 weeks out. It's be the, I don't know, what's today? I don't even know. It's the 9th. The next meeting would be the 9th, and it would be on for the second. They'd be on for the second reading. And essentially, council would have to have 6 members vote to do anything on these, or if you wanted to substitute the ones rejecting anything. And the effect of that is for the zone changes, the first 2, those are they would just be in limbo until council does something. A change to the zoning doesn't happen until council passes an ordinance one way or another. As far as the plan, our code, the Norwood code, says council's got to act within 60 days. And so the idea of what happens if council doesn't do anything within 60 days, or what the implications are if there's a plan that's approved on a footprint that doesn't match the actual PUD area, and the underlying zoning as to what can be allowed to do with the property that would not be in the PUD zone is those are kind of open questions, and certainly some of them definitely I would defer to the building commissioner, who would have the first ruling on a lot of those things. But that's where we are. It's essentially council needs 6 members to do anything. If council wanted to, if the idea was to pass these and you didn't know if you're going to have 6 votes to pass them, then having a second reading tonight would make that easier for the meeting on the 9th, but taking them off the agenda means we're right back where we were a week ago at the end of the last meeting. So,
Thank you.
If that helps.
Thank you. Mrs. Hoover.
Do we know if Mr. Braden is expected to be at the meeting on the 9th?
It is my understanding that he should be at that one. I know he will not be here this evening.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Moore.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just as a procedural matter, Can you help me understand how this agenda would have come together with regard to it being a special meeting for the purpose of the deputy auditor position, but those other things getting on there? And then I noticed some other things, like, for example, the request to address council are usually earlier before we would do any, like, readings. And so I guess it just, a couple of things sort of seem out of order.
So the request to address council, that is not typically something that is on special meeting agendas. I did add that on there, since I also added the other 3 ordinances on there. Knowing that we had the 2-week extension, that puts everything to next Tuesday, I did not feel it was right to add those without allowing the public to speak, which is why the request to address council was on there. And I also wanted to respect Mr. Miracle's time. I placed it after that item for that purpose, because I figured I was doubtful that there would be any request to address council on the ordinance authorizing an offering of employment for a deputy auditor.
Okay, got it, thank you. And so is it accurate to say that anything that was, let's say, unresolved on last meeting's agenda would automatically be carried forward to this meeting's agenda? Is that how those 3 got on there?
No, not necessarily. I chose to add those on simply because of the 2-week extension that was granted to us by PLK.
Okay, thank you.
Mrs. Franzen.
I think for me, I don't want to move too quickly, but I also don't want to delay them getting an answer next week. So I don't know what the best move forward is. To take these off means we would have to have 6 votes to do both of the other readings in a week. And I don't know if that is possible, but what does everyone else think? Or
Mr. Gurdon.
I don't understand how they won't get an answer next week. It feels like we said we would, next week. I feel like we said we would bring this up in 2 weeks. I'm not for sure how they're not going to get a response next week next week.
Mrs. Bowling.
The way they would not get a response is if we didn't have a 6 out of 7 vote to have the second and third reading at the next meeting. We would have to have a third reading at the next meeting in order for us to vote to act on that ordinance. My issue is not, I would like to see us take action on that at the next meeting regardless, but I think the message that we gave to the public was in 2 weeks we will be taking action on this. And while I'd like to make it known that whether this item stays on the agenda or not, there will be no action taken this evening, I think that there is a lack of transparency in having it on the agenda this evening when that wasn't what we publicly stated at the last meeting. And I think that we have not had substantial enough time with the materials to be able to have any real quality discussion that will have much added to it from last week's meeting. We received that information very recently, and so I don't think that quality conversation can be had based on the information that we have at hand. I think if we aren't going to have 6 out of 7 votes, then we aren't going to have 6 out of 7 votes, and I don't think that's going to change. I think by having the additional opportunity to do a reading this evening, certainly it would bypass the need for that, but I think if the votes are there, the votes are there, and if that is a reflection of how people feel about the issue, then that is a true and honest reflection of it. I would just, in the interest of transparency, in the interest of ensuring that the folks who have been told they would be given an opportunity to speak, actually having that opportunity to speak, I don't think that having the reading tonight is best practice.
Mrs. Franzen.
thank you. I think that makes a lot of sense, and thank you for that explanation. And based on that, yeah, I agree. I was basically just, I don't want us to get sued. I simply do not want the city to get sued. I think that is also one of my duties, but I feel like we will probably be able to have a better discussion next week. Another long meeting, so I'll be sure to bring extra water this time. But thank you, Ms. Bowling.
Any further discussion? Mr. Gurdon.
I think there's also a fear of getting a class action lawsuit by the citizens, because it seems like we didn't follow our ordinances. So, I mean, it seems like there's been the threat of suit brought up or suggested by PLK, but I don't understand why people are also afraid of a class action lawsuit because we've not followed procedures.
Mrs. Franzen?
That makes sense, and I agree with that too. I also do not want to be sued by anyone. I would rather not have that happen. And I do want to have people make sure that what I thought, which is a week, that we would talk about this more substantially and give it a yay or nay, would happen. So, yeah, I would agree with this motion to amend the agenda as you stated, Ms. Bowling. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Mr. Gurdon?
I think another matter that bothers me is that the agenda packet does not include the plans. For the public's awareness, we've been given the plans, they were sent to us this weekend, but they're not part of the exhibit. And so that's where I'm confused as to why we even had the first reading without the packet, and I don't understand why we should have a second reading or a third reading without having the exhibit as part of the packet. I think that should be public record, and it's not, well, I mean, it's searchable, but it's not public record.
And so I'm going to defer to Mr. Moore in a second here, but my understanding was with the communications that was shared by Ms. Town with the Norwood Planning Commission, that she did reference that along with these memorandums and a copy of plans for your review at the public hearing, that those have been on file. I can't speak to the other copies, where those 12 copies went. I can speak to the fact that this copy here has been available for anyone to review in the Clerk of Council's office since June, either the 20th or the 21st. The letter is dated the 20th, but I'm not sure when those plans actually became available for anyone to review in the Clerk of Council's office. But it was my understanding that, I guess, the issue of scanning, because of the detail, the size of the paper, because it is not a standard 8.5 by 11, that there were those issues with the distribution of those and the fact that council did only have that one copy available. Any further discussion? All right, motion on the floor by Mrs. Bowling, seconded by Mr. Moore, is to remove items G1 through 3 on the agenda. Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Franzen?
Yes.
Mrs. Hoover?
Yes.
Ms. Royce?
Yes.
Mrs. Bowling?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Gurdon?
Yes.
All members present voting yes, the motion carries. Moving on to the introductory reading of ordinances and resolutions. This is an ordinance authorizing an offer of employment for the position of deputy auditor and declaring an emergency. Mrs. Franzen.
I'd like to move that we suspend the rules and have all 3 readings of this ordinance.
Motion by Mrs. Franzen to suspend the rules and have all 3 readings of the ordinance. Mrs. Hoover.
I'll second.
Seconded by Mrs. Hoover. Any discussion? Mrs. Hoover.
Could we pause until the room clears? Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Any discussion on this matter? Mr. Miracle, was there anything that you wanted to share or provide with regard to the candidate and the offer of employment?
Other than the fact I'm elated, I will let our HR director share some information.
I think you guys have heard me say this before. You saw her resume. She is almost overqualified. We're very lucky. She has direct city experience, both in accounting and also in a little HR. So payroll, she's got payroll experience. So we're really pleased to interview her and offer her this position. And this salary is again, she's willing to come for it. So we're really happy.
Mrs. Franzen?
Yeah, I was really glad that you were able to find a good candidate so quickly. And I know this is above the reason we have to do this is because above the pay grade, but I think based on the resume and what you've said, it would be a very good decision to do this.
And it is within the pay range, it's just higher
Yes.
than we're allowed. We're allowed to go 5% over the entry. This is still within our pay range, so we're not paying above our pay range.
Mr. President.
Mr.
I
Miracle.
would like to say one thing. Lori went above and beyond. Just so you know, we had 18 applicants. We had 4 interviews, and we were very pleased with the result. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Mrs. Hoover.
When will the doctor be able to start?
Monday.
As soon as you say yes.
Any further discussion? Mr. Gurdon.
I will just say, we were given a resume in the packet, and she has plenty of experience in this field. And like Ms. Sonbeck said, it appears that she's somewhat overqualified for the position. So it seems like you're making the best decision possible.
Any further discussion? Mr. Moore.
Just as a procedural matter, is this person expected to be in every day? Like, are they commuting from Dayton, or is there a remote exemption in some way?
Do you want me to answer that?
Yeah.
She is moving here to the greater Cincinnati area due to some family
Okay.
move, so she was looking here.
Got it, okay, thank you.
Any further discussion? Motion on the floor by Mrs. Franzen, seconded by Mrs. Hoover, is to suspend the rules and have all 3 readings of the ordinance. Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Franzen?
Yes.
Mrs. Hoover?
Yes.
Ms. Royce?
Yes.
Mrs. Bowling?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Gurdon?
Yes.
All members present voting yes, the motion carries. Please have all 3 readings of the ordinance.
Ordinance authorizing an offer of employment for the position of deputy auditor and declaring an emergency. Ordinance authorizing an offer of employment for the position of deputy auditor and declaring an emergency. Ordinance authorizing an offer of employment for the position of deputy auditor and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. Mrs. Bowling.
I move that we pass the ordinance.
Motion by Mrs. Bowling to pass the ordinance. Mrs. Hoover.
I'll second.
Seconded by Mrs. Hoover. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Franzen?
Yes.
Mrs. Hoover?
Yes.
Ms. Royce?
Yes.
Mrs. Bowling?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Gurdon?
Yes.
All members present voting yes, the motion carries. We did remove items G1 through 3 on the agenda, but we did have 3 requests to address council, if those individuals were still interested in addressing council. The first was Vicky Gary.
Thank you. I'll just address council while I'm here. I'm not sure if I'll be at the next meeting. I am not in favor of this development. I think it's ill-advised, it's too dense. I don't know if the city is really going to get a whole lot out of this whole thing except trouble, problems for the residents who are already living there. So, you know, if it is passed, I would be prepared to see residents such as myself and other people who were here working together. A lot of times on issues, people don't work together, but we will work together to get a referendum before the voters so that the voters will say, we're not going to allow that to happen. At the same time, those people who are out doing that will say to people, think about the council representatives who are putting the residents, existing residents first versus the developer when you go to vote in November. So, you know, I hope you will do the right thing by way of the city, which is to not approve this. This is being rammed down. Once again, it seems like whenever there's a development issue, this council seems to have a real problem with just running it through. There should be thoughtful discussion. It should take time. And that's not happening. So hopefully next week you will do the right thing, say no, and that will be it. Thank you.
Thank you. The other 2 requests to address council were Diane Farrell and Tony Boyle. It appears that they both left council chambers. That moves us on to excusing absent members. Mrs. Bowling.
I make a motion that we excuse Mr. Braden.
Motion by Mrs. Bowling to excuse Mr. Braden. Mr. Garden.
Second?
Seconded by Mr. Garden. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Franzen?
Yes.
Mrs. Hoover?
Yes.
Ms. Royce?
Yes.
Ms. Bowling?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Garden?
Yes.
All members present voting yes, the motion carries. Do we have a motion to adjourn? Mrs. Hoover.
Make a motion, we adjourn?
Mr. Garden. Seconded by Mr. Garden. Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Franzen?
Yes.
Mrs. Hoover?
Yes.
Ms. Royce?
Yes.
Mrs. Bowling?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Garden?
Yes.